Hello everybody, I am Ninjaz, or as I'm known in the world of Allods Online, Pio. Recently, there's been a number of new players rapidly thrust into the late and end game of Allods Online, and if you're not familiar with the gear system, it can be a bit intimidating. So, I'm going to take you through the process of obtaining, upgrading, and customizing your Allods Online endgame gear. Let's say you're level 80 and you've completed the story quests. You should be sitting there nice and pretty with your level 94 set of gear and thinking you can handle just about anything. After all, you powered your way through the storyline and that wasn't too hard, right? So you jump into the endgame content and, oh, hey, blue stuff. That looks nice. And you'll quickly come to realize that your gear just isn't going to cut it. Now, unless you want to spend a lot of coffee breaks with the Servant of Tensis, you really need to upgrade your gear. There's a few ways to get endgame gear in Allods. First is by dumb luck. I'm not really going to go into detail on this, as that's about all there is to it. There's a small chance that a piece of gear you need will be dropped by a boss during an astral or distortion or something. This chance is really small though, and there's no guarantee that the gear that drops is even for your class. On top of that, certain pieces of gear simply won't drop. They have to be made. That's the other way to get gear in Allods, to make it yourself. Now, there's two different methods to crafting gear. The first is to craft it using a profession. This will allow you to make the same kind of gear that can drop by chance, but you can actually choose what you make, assuming that your profession makes the right gear for your class, i.e. leatherworking for leather gear, tailoring for cloth, and blacksmithing for plate. As far as resources go though, be prepared to invest a lot of gold and collect a lot of resources. On top of that, you have to be fully maxed out in your crafting skill at level 80. That alone takes a pretty large amount of work. Now, if you want to know more about how crafting for each profession actually works, that's something I'll cover in another video. Just know that you can craft some endgame gear at max profession level. The other method of crafting gear is the Anvil of Artifacts. It doesn't require any profession at all, and will likely be where you get most of your gear from. That is what we're getting into now. Now, to get started, there's a few things we're going to need. First of all, you need to be playing on a max level character. There's no point in putting in the effort to upgrade your gear if it's not the good stuff. Now, as of this video, that's character level 80, but knowing Allods, it's only a matter of time till they raise it. Next up, we're going to need a few ingredients, some for crafting the gear and some for upgrading it. I'll go over where you can get all of these after explaining what they are. First, amalgams. These have long been the main material for both creating and upgrading your gear, and you'll need a good number of them to do both. Amalgams can be obtained through doing several missions late game, or by completing skirmishes or PvP matches, or by trading with the Negotiants. Next, gold. Now, I'm not really going to explain gold or how you can get it. Hints do just about anything. However, I will mention you're going to need a sizable chunk of it for creating gear. Tempering or customizing it afterwards is less expensive, but you're still going to want some pretty deep pockets. Next, tools. These are used to break down resources you receive into usable materials or dust. The better the tools, the more usable materials you'll get out of the resource. For example, basic tools will give you 4 for this green resource, while the fancier cash shop ones will give you 6 or even 8. Now, if you don't want to splurge for the fancy tools in the cash shop, however, you can just buy basic tools from the Relic Master near the anvil for gold. But be prepared to buy a lot of these. Last up is mysterious shards or materials. These come in several different rarities, and you need to use the right rarity for your level of gear, i.e. for uncommon green rarity gear, you need the green ones, etc. Shards can be broken down into materials with those tools purchased from the Relic Master. Pretty much the only way of getting these is by doing astrals, which are most easily accessed from the group search window. You may also be able to get some from doing PvP matches. Next up, for upgrading, or tempering as I like to call it, you'll need a few other things in addition. One is mysterious matter or mysterious dust. Now, using tools on mysterious matter will convert it to the dust, in the same way that shards turn into materials. Fortunately, there's a few different ways of getting these, either by doing distortions or raid searches in the group search menu, trading for them with the negotiants, or possibly by doing skirmishes as well, although I'm not as familiar with that one. You're also going to want some insignias of attack and defense. These can be used to switch the special stats of your gear. For example, if you've got a nice pair of boots, but you're not using them because the stats are for elemental damage, and you wanted determination. Since that's an offensive stat, you can use insignias of attack and change it. The potential stats are listed at the bottom of the item description, and they'll cycle through the list in order each time you use an insignia. You'll probably use quite a few of these to get yourself started, but they're not all that hard to get your hands on. You can pick them up from doing distortions, skirmishes, or if you've got a bit of cash, there are 30-day non-consumable versions in the cash shop that you can use as much as you want. So this shopping list is nice and all, but you want to know how to actually make the items. Okay, well, here we go. First, you need to find your Anvil of Artifacts. For the League, there's one right next to the auction house in Novigrad, or just down the steps from the teleport pad in the Astral Academy. For the Empire, it can be found in the northeast room on the very bottom floor of Yasker's Confusing Tower, or at the Empire's Astral Academy under the northeast corner of the building. Just walk up and use the anvil, then select the piece of gear you want to make. A window will pop up to the right showing you the cost, the resources to be used, and the outcome. Just click the Create button and it'll be made and placed in your inventory. That simple.
Whoa, hold on a second there. This new piece of gear I made has lower stats than my old gear, I hear you lamenting.
Well, that's probably because of an annoying little thing called efficacy. Let me explain. The efficacy, or F-score as I'll call it for short, is a percentage of how much your gear's potential stats are being used. That gear that was given to you in the story quests has an F-score of 80% by default, but gear that you make usually starts from around 60%. It may be of a higher level and has higher potential stats, but because of the lower F-score, it's not using its potential nearly as well, and ends up being worse for it. But fear not, we can fix that with transmutation. If you use the anvil again, there's a tab on the bottom called Transmutation. Select that and you should have a list of your gear that you can temper. A window on the right will appear showing you the cost and give you the option to either improve the offensive or defensive stat. Select whichever one you want and then press the Transform button and it'll randomly roll some new stats options for you. Now, what you want to do to get the most out of this is to choose the one with the highest number, even if it's not the stat you want. Remember those insignias? You can always easily change the stat itself later. Once you've finished transmuting an item, you should see that its F-score is higher, and after a few transmutes like this, will become better than your previous gear. Now, by now we've covered most of what there is to cover with this, except for one important thing: upgrading your gear's rarity. Now this takes a lot of work, as you'll need to do quite a bit of collecting of resources or grinding to make a mysterious scroll of reinforcement. From there, you use that on one of the pieces of gear you made, and it'll upgrade it to the next level of rarity. That's about it. I'll leave you with some tips and tricks on the way out, but as always, thank you very much for watching. Videos like this do take me a bit of time to make, so I hope you like it. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.